Greetings and welcome to Learn What's New in macOS Ventura, a video tutorial from the macu.com. Ventura is version 13 of macOS and brings a variety of new features and changes to the Mac, including a new multitasking interface called Stage Manager, new weather and clock apps, a name change and redesign of system preferences, new features in Photos, Mail, Safari, Reminders, and more. All of those are covered in this tutorial. For more general lessons on the overall use of your Mac, check out our macOS Core Concepts tutorial. With that, let's get started with what's now called System Settings. One of the biggest changes in macOS Ventura is the renaming and redesign of the Mac System Preferences app. In Ventura, System Preferences is now known as System Settings, and the System Settings app has a new list layout. Most of the individual system settings will keep the same name as they had as System Preferences, but we now have this vertical layout rather than the grid of icons that System Preferences had. This vertical layout and the name settings matches up better with what we see on an iPhone and iPad. Here in the Settings app for iPad, we have a very similar list or vertical layout. The term Settings extends to Mac apps as well. If I open the Mac Calendar app and go to where Preferences used to be, we now have Settings. The Settings panel has not changed though. Neither has the keyboard shortcut. In most apps, that will continue to be Command comma to open Settings rather than Preferences. Notice that this applies to third-party apps as well. Here in Pixelmator Pro, we have Settings, not Preferences. For those of you that have watched our macOS Core Concepts tutorial, which covers all the system preferences, we'll be slowly updating this to reflect the changeover to Settings. For the most part, these lessons will still be applicable overall, despite the different look and name. Stage Manager is a new multitasking interface for Macs running macOS Ventura or later, as well as newer iPads with iPad OS 16 and later. Stage Manager doesn't replace any other multitasking features that macOS offers. We still have the dock, Command Tab, Mission Control, and Spaces. Those are all still available and can be used along with Stage Manager. So currently Stage Manager is turned off. I can activate it with a single click here in Control Center. For even easier access, click and drag the Stage Manager Control Center panel into the menu bar. With it saved up here, we can quickly toggle it on or off, or jump into Stage Manager settings. So with Stage Manager on, we can see that the two windows that I currently have open can now be shown or hidden with a click on the icons that move off to the left side of the display. If I launch another app from the dock, such as Calendar, and then the Contacts app, they also get added to Stage Manager. Again, a quick click on any of the icons will show that selected app and hide the currently displayed one. So we're able to cycle through these really fast. With Calendar open in Stage Manager, I can add an app or a Finder window next to it by dragging that icon in from the left side. That creates a group. Notice that when I switch to another item in Stage Manager, all three of those windows remain in a single icon group. To remove a window from the group, just drag it to the left side and it will minimize to a single icon. If I need to utilize most or all of the display with these two apps, As I move one to the left edge, the Stage Manager icons will slide away. To access them now, I need to bring my cursor to the left edge of the screen. Move the calendar app back over again, and those icons will return. We're able to permanently hide the Stage Manager icons from within Stage Manager settings. Turn off the Recent Applications toggle, and the left side icons will stay hidden, no matter where the windows are. Turn on the Desktop Items toggle to show files and drives that are saved or shown on your desktop. This third option deals with multiple windows from a single app. So if I open two more Finder windows in Stage Manager right now, they'll appear together automatically, with the three Finder windows appearing all at once. But turn this off, and only a single Finder window is allowed to be displayed at once. I can cycle through them from the Finder icon in Stage Manager. We can still use Command-Tab to cycle through open apps. And we can still activate Mission Control to view all active windows and spaces. So Stage Manager can be used alongside and integrated with the multitasking features you may already use. If you use multiple displays with your Mac, when Stage Manager is active, it's going to work on both or all of them at once. To deactivate Stage Manager, just click on its Control Center panel or deactivate it from the menu bar. Deactivating will return all windows that were stored in Stage Manager on the left side of the display to your desktop. With macOS Ventura, a built-in weather app is loaded onto every Mac. Like on the iPad, the Mac only had access to a weather widget previously. Now we have a weather app that looks and feels very much the same on an iPhone, iPad, and Mac. So we have the sidebar on the left that will list our saved locations. Just click to view each location's forecast. We can add locations by using the search field up here. I'll add Boston. The weather app interface is laid out with a variety of panels. Expand the window to view all the panels and information. Clicking on any of these panels will expand them and show more information. Clicking on the hourly forecast brings up the details for today. Click off the panel to close it. In the 10-day forecast panel, we can click on a specific day to get its details. We can then switch to different days using the arrow buttons up here. Click on the map panel and we get an animated precipitation forecast. Zoom into this map for more detail or zoom out for a regional view. At the bottom, we can pause the animation and switch between a 12 or 1 hour forecast. Use this button to change from the precipitation map layer to temperature or air quality. When viewing any map layer, right or control click on a location and we can view a quick summary of the conditions there, or add it to our saved list. Click on the X up here to exit the map. Each of the smaller square panels can be expanded for a more detailed view, but we're not able to rearrange, remove, or add any panels. These are all set in place. So the Weather app is a nice addition to macOS. It's automatically installed with the upgrade to Ventura, so look for it in your Applications folder. Along with Weather, the Mac also gets a new clock app in macOS Ventura. Like on iPhone or iPad, the clock app for Mac contains a world clock, alarms, a stopwatch, and a timer. Just click on the tabs or use the shortcuts Command 1 through 4 to jump to each function. Use the plus button up here to add a new location to the world clock, or create a new alarm. Notice that we can make an alarm repeat every day or only on certain days. With the stopwatch, we just have a start button and then a lap or stop button. Switch to an analog stopwatch from up in the View menu. When setting a timer, just type in the hour, minutes, or seconds and click Start. Notice that we can change the alert sound with this menu. I find it more convenient to set a basic alarm or start a timer using Siri. Set alarm for 5 p.m.
Done.
When we do that, the alarm is saved in the clock app. Use these toggles to activate or deactivate your alarms. When you see orange, the alarm is active. Set a timer with Siri, and we can open the clock app to view the countdown. Set timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes counting down.
Also, if you leave the clock app in your dock, it's going to display the current time within its analog clock icon. Right-click on the dock icon to quickly start the stopwatch or timer. When doing a Spotlight search on your Mac for images or photos, the results can come from apps on your Mac, as well as the web. Spotlight can even search the live text found in your photos or videos. Let's start with a very general search term, flower. As I scroll the results, we can see they're from apps on this Mac, as well as the web. To narrow the results a bit, add the term images or photos to the search. Select an image here and then hit the spacebar to quick look it. Click Show More up here, and the results will be broken down by app. We have images found in the Finder, Photos, and from Notes. Double-click on a result from Photos, and that image will be opened in the Mac Photos app. This sort of Spotlight search will work for people or locations saved in your Photos library as well. And if I do a Spotlight search for the term volcanic, we get one result from Photos that displays an image with live text containing that word. So live text within any photo or video is searchable from the Photos app or from Spotlight. When viewing web image results from Spotlight, double-click on a thumbnail to expand it. Right-click here and we can copy the link to this image. Or double-click down on the Safari icon to open the web page that it's on. From here, we could then download the image to our Mac. Within the Messages app, when in an iMessage conversation with another Apple user or users, we can now edit or unsend messages. First, let's do an edit. I'll send a message from this Mac to this iPhone that contains a mistake. I meant will, not well. Previously, I just might ignore this typo or send another message with an asterisk before the word will to acknowledge the typo. But now we can right or control-click on the message and choose Edit. Then make the changes or additions to the message that are needed. Notice that it indicates that the message was edited for both users. Click the blue Edited button to see the change that was made. You'll be able to edit a message for up to 15 minutes after sending it, and there can be up to 5 edits made to a single message. Now let's unsend a message. Once a message has been sent, the sender has 2 minutes to be able to unsend it. Just right-click and choose Undo Send. The message vanishes on the Mac and iPhone. But again, everyone in the conversation can see that a message was unsent. Unless the recipient read the message prior to it being unsent, they will not ever be able to see it. But if a recipient hasn't upgraded to macOS Ventura or iOS 16, the message might not be removed from their device. So these are iOS 16 and macOS Ventura or later features. With both macOS and iOS, we're able to collaborate with others in several apps. Those include Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, as well as apps like Reminders, Notes, and now Safari with shared tab groups, which we'll cover next. In macOS Ventura, we can see collaboration updates within the Messages app. We can also easily contact those that we're collaborating with from the app that we're working in. Here on my Mac, I have a groceries note with a checklist of items. Click up on the Share button, and we can choose to share it as a collaboration or send it as a copy. When collaboration is selected, the recipient will be able to view and edit the note, rather than only seeing a current copy of this note and not being able to edit it. So let's set this menu to collaborate, and I'll send it to Drew via iMessage. When that pops into the message, we can click here to adjust the collaboration settings, as far as who will be able to access the note, and if the recipient can make changes to it or only view it. We can also decide if those that we're collaborating with are able to invite others to collaborate. I'm going to stick with only those I invite can access it, and I want them to be able to make changes. Then I'll send it to Drew, and it arrives in Messages on his iPhone. Tap and the note can be opened. Drew was given permission to make changes, so he's able to add items to the list or check items off. In Messages, an alert appears letting me know edits were made to the groceries note. Click Show to view the Notes app. Now let's jump into the Messages app on Drew's iPhone and make a few changes to the note on Warren's Mac. Drew receives the same sort of notification that edits were made to the groceries note. Tap Review, and we can then either show that edit or ignore it. Tapping Show just brings us into the current version of the note. So each time a change is made by anyone collaborating on the file, an edit notification is going to appear in Messages. From within the Notes app, we can click up here to communicate with a collaborator via iMessage or FaceTime. We're also able to see the latest edits or all activity. Click Manage Shared Note to see who it's currently shared with, adjust the share settings, or stop sharing the note. Next up, we'll look at shared tabs in Safari, which can be collaborated on and edits seen in the Messages app. Safari tab groups allow for a set of web pages to be saved together and accessed quickly. Tab groups will sync between all your devices, iOS and Mac. To see more on how to add and manage tab groups, take a look at our Safari tutorial. Currently, I have 4 tab groups, which we can see here in the sidebar. Click on the turn-down triangle next to each to view the pages within the tab groups. If I click on the target page, we jump to that page within the shopping tab group. With macOS Monterey and iOS 16, we can now share tab groups. So I'm going to share this Travel Sites tab group. To do so, we can click on the ellipsis button here, or just right-click on the tab group and Share Tab Group. I'm going to share this via Messages with Drew. Over on his iPhone, that's going to come into Messages as a link. Tap and he'll be able to open the tab group in Safari. Notice that as Drew opens different pages in the group, here on the Mac, I can see which page he's viewing. Drew can also see what page Warren is currently viewing as well. Remember that if you don't have a photo saved for a contact, only their initials will appear in this icon. Now let's add a page within this tab group on the Mac. That page gets added over on Drew's iPhone as well. You will even get a notification that Drew added a page. So any user the tab group is shared with can add and remove pages from it. So over on the iPhone, Drew could remove the Uncruise page, and its tab is going to disappear here on the Mac. Click on the Collaboration button up here and we can manage the shared tab group. From here we can share this with more people or remove access to the shared group. Down here we can share the tab group using a link. And finally we can stop sharing, which will make this a standard tab group again. In the Messages app, we'll be able to see the changes made to a shared tab group with the new collaboration features. We'll get alerts here, and we can then show or ignore each edit. So sharing a tab group can be a great way to collaborate by planning a trip, doing some research, or even just shop with a friend. We have 3 key new features in the Apple Mail app: Undo Send, Scheduled Send, and Remind Me. Let's start by creating a new mail message and adding a recipient and subject. The Undo Send feature basically puts a hold on the email for about 10 seconds after the send button is clicked. So once I finish this email and send it, we get an Undo Send button at the bottom of the sidebar. Click this and the email pops back up and I can edit it. Remember though that we only have about 10 seconds to utilize the Undo Send button. If I send this email again, we can see the Undo Send option disappears after about a 10-second period. Once it's gone, the email is sent and can't be prevented from getting to the recipient. Next, we have Scheduled Send. With this, rather than the normal click on the send button, we can click this menu arrow to the right of it. From here we can send now, send at 9 p.m. tonight, or send later, which will let me select an exact date and time to send this email. This can be good if you want to get a message into someone's inbox when you know they're going to be at the office. So I'll set this to send at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. That email will be held in a send later mailbox that will appear in the sidebar. With the message selected, click the Edit button here to change the time that it'll be sent. Oddly, we can't edit the actual message from here. Your Mac's going to need to be powered on and have a network connection for the scheduled send to occur. Finally, we have a new follow-up feature for messages that we've already received. With your trackpad, two-finger swipe right on a message to display a Remind Me button. Click this for a few options. We can also just right-click on the message and get these same options from the Remind Me section of the menu. We can set a reminder for 1 hour from now, tonight, or tomorrow. Choose Remind Me Later to set an exact time and date. These reminders will appear as notifications on your Mac, as well as any other Apple devices that you have synced with iCloud. So this can be a great feature to use for when you get emails during the day that you might not have time to deal with. Now you can just set a reminder for when you know you'll be able to respond. Notice that we can clear a reminder from the same menu if it's no longer needed. The built-in Reminders app has a few new features that are worth mentioning. First, we now have a smart list that will display all of your completed reminders. Reminders are completed when we check them off from within a list, like so. We can now also pin our own custom lists, which will add them into the Smart List grid here. So to pin this projects list, just right or control click on it and then pin list. It now exists up here with my smart lists. Right click on any of the smart lists, such as scheduled or today, and we can hide them. For lists that are pinned, when we right click, we can unpin them. Unpinning a list just sends it back into the My List section. We can get the hidden smart list back from up in the View menu and Show Smart Lists. We can now also save a list as a template. Here I have a grocery list, with each item being its own reminder. As I check items off, they'll be removed because the reminder was completed. We can see these in the completed smart list. Uncheck them in here and they'll return to the grocery list. If I go to the store once a week with basically the same list, I'll probably want to save this as a template. So to do that, select the list and go up to File, Save as Template. Now when I'm finished grocery shopping, I could actually delete the list. Then next week, when I need it again, I can add a list, but rather than make a brand new one, go to the Templates tab and grab the grocery template, which I could then rename. That displays all the original items that were in the grocery list. If you're a regular user of the Reminders app, creating templates for certain lists can be a great way to boost efficiency and save some time. And since Reminders will sync with iCloud, we can have the same pinned lists and templates available on our other Apple devices. With the new Copy Subject feature in macOS Ventura, we can quickly cut out the subject of an image and then paste it into another app. This feature also works as a remove background command in the Preview app. Let's start in Photos to see how this works and with what images. This photo of a flower provides a clear subject. Right or control click on the image and the Copy Subject option is available here in the menu. Hover over that option and the subject is shown with an animated white outline around it. Select Copy Subject and we can then go into another app, such as Messages, and then paste that subject, in this case the flower, into a message. the copy subject command isn't going to work on every image. In this photo, there's no clear subject. So when I right-click, the copy subject option is grayed out. In another example here in Photos, this balloon and its reflection are recognized as the subject. So I'm going to copy it and then head into Pixelmator Pro, which is an image editing app. I can create a new document directly from the content that was just copied to the clipboard. That puts the balloon and its reflection on an empty background. Add a layer behind that, and I could then place in my own background. In this case, that will just be a basic gradient. Now let's jump into the Preview app. I'm going to open the same flower image that we started the lesson with. In Preview, under the Tools menu, we now have a Remove Background command. This is the same as Copy Subject, just in reverse. Notice as I hover on the command, the white outline appears. Select it and we'll need to convert the file to a PNG. The reason for that is that PNGs support transparency, which this image now has with the background having been removed. That flower cutout could then be shared from here or saved as a PNG and then opened in an image editor such as Pixelmator Pro, which will display its transparent background. So this can be a really powerful new feature that's built into macOS as well as iOS 16. Last year, with macOS Monterey and iOS 15, Apple introduced Live Text, which lets us select and copy text directly from a still photo like this one. As I hover over this text, it changes from an arrow to a text cursor. Now I just need to click and drag to select the text, just as if I was in Pages or Mail. Now in macOS Ventura and iOS 16, we can do the same in videos. In this video clip, we have a couple paragraphs of text on this sign. With the video paused, when text is detected, the arrow again switches to the text cursor when we hover over the text. Click and drag to select. Right-click on the selection for more options like Translate and Share. Choose Mail here, and the text from the video is pasted into a new mail message. This video from a hockey game can be a little more challenging for live text. In this frame, it detects the player's name and even some of the text on the signs in the background. But it struggles more with the text on the signs along the boards to the side. It can be interesting to move to different parts of the video to see where the live detection works and where it doesn't. This feature will work great with large, clear text in videos or photos. With an iCloud shared photo library, we can share photos and videos with up to 5 other people at once. Everyone that the library is shared with is going to be able to add, edit, and delete images in the shared library. To get started, from within the Photos app, go to Photo Settings, and in here we have a Shared Library tab. Click Get Started, and we can then invite participants to share the library with. I'm going to invite Drew. In the next panel, we can choose what existing photos or videos to add into this library. We can select my entire existing library, choose by people or date, select photos or videos manually, or we can choose to move photos later, which will skip this step and essentially create an empty library. For this example, I'm just going to choose a few images manually. After doing that, I can preview the shared library or skip that, and on the next panel, I can send Drew the invite via the Messages app or copy the link to send the invite to others. In Photos on my Mac, I can now switch between my personal library and the shared library with this menu. Notice we can also view them both at once. Over on Drew's iPhone, he has received the invite in Messages. He will also be able to decide what images to move into the shared library. After that, he can officially join the library. For more on how this works on iPhone and iPad, take a look at our What's New in iOS 16 tutorial or the Photos for iOS tutorial. Everyone that has access to a shared library is going to be able to move items from their personal library to the shared library with a right click on the image or video, then move to shared library. Remember though that this will remove that item from the personal library. We can also move items from the shared library into our personal library. Any of the users with access to the shared library can edit or delete any of the images. This doesn't act like a shared album, with which the owner of that album can control permissions. Now let's go back into Photos settings. From the Shared Library tab, we can view the owner or host of the library and the participants. A participant can be removed by the owner, and I can also add new participants from here. Below we can toggle on and off shared library suggestions. These refer to people we have designated to be added to the shared library. Click Add People and everyone saved in your People album is going to be available here. With deletion notifications turned on, anytime an image is removed from the shared library, Photos will let us know. The shared library will have its own deleted items folder. So when images are removed by any user, they will remain in the deleted items folder for 30 days and can be recovered within that span. Finally, we can completely delete a shared library if you're the owner, or you can leave it if you're the participant. If Drew chooses to leave, notice that he can keep all the items from the shared library in his personal library, or only the items that he contributed. From here on the Mac, I can choose to delete the shared library and I get the same options. Let's choose to keep everything and then delete the library. That removes the library on both the Mac and Drew's iPhone. After a few minutes, the process is complete and both users could then set up a new shared library. So using a shared library in Photos can be a nice way for a family to share and sync all their photos together, or for a group of friends to have access to everyone's photos from a particular trip or event. The built-in Mac Photos app can now detect duplicates in your library and present them in an album. Depending on the size of your library, there could be anywhere from just a few photos in here to hundreds. On this Mac, I have a large library that goes back many years, which is why Photos has found nearly 800 duplicate photos and 16 duplicate videos. There are a couple options we have with each set of duplicates. We can either merge the set of 2 or more duplicates, or we can just select individual copies and then delete them. Notice that with each set, the file size of each copy is displayed. When the merge option is chosen, it's going to always keep the copy with the highest resolution or larger file size. Notice that Photos will also combine the most relevant data from the duplicates, like titles, captions, location information, and more. So let's merge these two. Doing that removes them from the duplicates list. If I jump into my Favorites album, we can view the single merged image here. With this duplicated video, The version on the left is favorited and has a title applied. They are the exact same file size and duration. So what I could do here is simply delete the second one manually rather than merging the two. Essentially, this is exactly what the merge command would have done in this case. Of course, I don't want to go through all 800 duplicates manually. So what we can do is select all the duplicates with the shortcut Command A, and then click the Merge button up here. This won't merge everything into one image. It will merge each set of duplicates that were found. This is putting quite a bit of trust in the duplicate detection abilities of photos. But the photos aren't immediately deleted. They're going to be moved to the recently deleted album for 30 days. So if you find an image is missing, it can be recovered during that time. Here we can choose to merge only the exact copies, or merge all 809 items that might have differences such as file size, resolution, metadata, or others. I'm going to merge all 809 and trust the process. From my experience so far, the duplicate detection and merge process has not resulted in any missing or destroyed images. It's a really good way to clean up and trim down the size of your photos library. The hidden and recently deleted albums in the Photos app can now be locked and only opened by using your user password or Touch ID on your Mac. Currently, my hidden album is deactivated. From the View menu, we can choose to show it, and it will then appear over in the sidebar. If I select it right now, its contents will be displayed without needing any authentication. Same goes for the recently deleted album. From up in Photos Settings and the General pane, go down to Privacy, and with this checked, I'll now need to enter my user password or use Touch ID in order to view it. So now the next time I select the hidden album, it's locked, and I'll use Touch ID to open it. Same with the recently deleted folder. Notice that I can also use my password. Remember that we can hide any photo or video in our library by selecting it, then right or control clicking and choosing Hide. This image will now only be available within the hidden album. Click the lock icons here in the sidebar to manually lock each of these albums. They will automatically be locked again when you quit the app. You can learn more about using the Photos app in our 2 Photos for Mac tutorials.